sometimes when I see their faces, well, actually, I seem to always see their faces. When I take a shower, I'm thinking, they can't take a shower. When I eat a salad full of nutritious vegetables, I wonder, are they eating from tin cans, or are they eating at all? When Yasser and I began communicating, I remember how the children's eyes twinkled and their smiles were bright. They are older now, in every way, in every way. For almost 2 years now, more than 600 days. How is that possible? Worse. I make myself watch it because I can't not. I feel like, how can we stop it if we don't know? In every video Yasser sends, there's this steady background noise of drones. I think, how can they bear it? Day in and day out, that buzzing, always overhead, always watching, always a threat. I can't bear it. And I'm just watching a video. I'm getting sidetracked. I had a plan for how to tell this story. The story of one family in Gaza. One family who, if you measure by the standard of living in Gaza, are relatively more fortunate than others. I cannot believe I just said that. Where the hell does fortune come into this? I met Yasser online about 2 years after the massacre of 2014, the one the Israelis called Protective Edge, the one where the settlers sat on a hillside with picnic baskets and wine and cheered every time a bomb went off. I thought, couldn't get worse than that, 2,000 dead. Anyway, Yasser and I sent texts back and forth. Not a lot, but we got to know each other. After October 7th, we got back in touch. Since then, we've been exchanging texts and photos almost every day. Yasser Youssef is now 33 years old. He has a degree in civil engineering. His wife, Nada, is the same age. They have 3 children. Maria, who was 3 months old on October 7th, she learned to walk surrounded by the rubble. Mohammed is 5 now, and he has a face that just melts my heart. Finally, Youssef, the oldest, he's 7. His face is a bit more serious, as if he understands more than any child that age should understand. I'm talking too much. What I want to do is share some of the texts I've received from Yasser over the months. I think the story of this one family tells itself, reveals the story of Gaza.
November 22nd, 2023, a 4-day pause. 50 Israeli captives were exchanged for 150 Palestinian captives. As they were being released, one elderly woman hugs her Hamas captor. We didn't hear from this woman again.
It is November 23rd, 2023. We have been displaced from our home and now reside in the Khan Yunis UNRWA shelter. I can only say now that we hope that the ceasefire agreement will be implemented tomorrow for at least 4 days and then renewed, and this war will end. Despite the oppression and pain we are going through now, our lives will be harsh when we return to our homes, because it will be often partially or completely destroyed, as well as a complete collapse of the infrastructure, of the electricity and water infrastructure.
December 2nd, 2023, talks to extend ceasefire collapse. Hamas wants Israel to end its attacks on Gaza and release all Palestinian prisoners in exchange for all captives. Israel refuses.
We had to move to a refugee tent camp in Khan Yunis. They said it would be safer. The sounds of rockets and shells were terrifying at night. Our life is as follows. During the day, we try so hard to provide the family and children necessities. Everything we need to go to buy. Never believe what's said about the entry of aid. Never believe about the entry of aid in Gaza. Because it is commandeered by profiteers and is sold in the market at high prices. At night we cannot sleep because of the bombing and the sounds of ambulances and civil defense and firefighters. The simplest thing we must buy is water for drinking, water for bathing, water for washing food utensils. Because of the price, a cup of drinking water is a church and carefully shared. Water, which is supposed to be available for any human being, is denied in Gaza. There is an Israeli proposal now to Europe to send ships to transport Palestinians, to get rid of them from their indigenous land. And it is live stream. Does really want there to be no more Palestinian?
December 10th, 2023, the United States vetoes the United Nations Security Council proposal to stop the war. Hamas says they are reviewing a 3-stage ceasefire proposal by Egyptian, Qatari, Israeli and US negotiators. Netanyahu rejects the proposal.
It was sometime around here that I was writing a letter to the editor about, children dying, infrastructure destroyed, hospitals bombed, etc., etc. And all of a sudden, this thought came to me. When you talk about this genocide, most people respond with, well, what about October 7th? What about Hamas? And it suddenly struck me. What if my grandsons had been born in Gaza, had their electricity doled out, had food limited to subsistence calories, had fucking chocolate disallowed, had family members killed or beaten or imprisoned by Israeli soldiers? I mean, after years of collapsing negotiations and nonviolent resistance that failed over and over, would my grandsons join the resistance?
Hello, my friend. I am fine and my family is fine. But Maria has been very ill over the past 2 days and until now without responding to treatment. And the reason is the cold weather here in the tent. I am very afraid for her.
It took me a while, but eventually I understood that we are fine means we are alive.
December 29th, 2023, The Hague, Netherlands. South Africa filed suit today against Israel at the International Court of Justice, stating that Israel is committing genocidal acts and genocide against the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip.
We have been displaced to the city of Rafah, near the Egyptian border. There is no positive news here. Our suffering increases here in the sand and cold climate. The children are in good health now, free of diseases. I hope this continues. January 11th, Rafah city. Our lives are miserable here. Our lives are miserable here. My friend, we have become homeless when in the past we had a home of our own. We used to drink water from the refrigerator without getting tired, and now we run like monsters. We run like monsters to get water. We used to have a bathroom to relieve ourselves safely and easily, and now we suffer from that. We have reached the point of collapse.
I feel so helpless. Some days I wake up mad, so angry. I'm mad at the checker in the grocery store and the car with the "my child was an honor student" bumper sticker. Other days, I wake up crying. And on those days, no matter what anyone says to me, I start crying. You know, if I know about this inhumane, brutal, savage genocide, our fucking government has to know, right? Mm-hmm. Even if the old lady across the street doesn't know, the government knows, right?
January 22nd, 2024. Gaza hospitals facing a catastrophic situation. Palestinian health minister says only 9 hospitals continue to partially operate in Gaza and without enough medical supplies or electricity.
Yesterday, I received the news from my village that my house was partially demolished. But I do not know the severity of the structural damage. We hope that situation will not get worse. But the Israeli military are back again in my village.
I started a GoFundMe a while back, and we are raising money. But now I can't find a way to get it into Gaza. Treasury, by order of the U.S. Treasury, banks face serious fines and consequences if they transfer money to Gaza. And no matter where you turn, no matter what you try to do, if it's about Palestine, just forget it. Just forget it.
Sorry for the delay in responding, my friend. I can't stand the cold anymore. It's sneaking into my bones. I'm standing in the street to get internet. The cold eats away at my fingers.
In the beginning, the family was determined to stay in Gaza. If their home was damaged, they would rebuild it. They were Palestinians from Gaza, whose grandparents had been displaced during the Nakba in 1948. They were determined that they would never submit to another Nakba. But after Maria was sick and very close to death, and then Muhammad got very ill, that changed. They decided to leave Gaza to find safety and peace. So I and a small group who had come together to support Yasser's family began searching for a way out. We raised funds for travel and searched for a country to grant them humanitarian asylum. But everywhere we turned into a dead end.
The children are asleep now. We had a water problem, and this is what concerned us today. The bombing has not stopped for 2 days in the vicinity of Rafah and Khan Yunis. The scenes we received from the vicinity of Nasser Medical Hospital and the shelter store in which we previously lived are now horrible. Martyrs in the street, and now they are dying in droves because of the Israeli snipers that prevent them from going out to get drinking water. Or crying is everywhere.
February 10th, 2024. The body of Hind Rajab, a 6-year-old Gaza girl, found days after recording of her pleas for help emerged while she was under Israeli fire.
I am now confused because many families have begun to dismantle their tents and move to central Gaza Strip. But there is no order to evacuate. The continuous firebombing and bombing of residential squares, residential complexes in the south of Khan Yunis make us feel anxious and afraid.
February 20th, 2024, US vetoes UN Security Council proposal for the third time. Netanyahu welcomes the US veto.
I feel like I want to leave this country. I'm ashamed. I'm so ashamed. Where is humanity? I want to leave, but there's nowhere to go.
I was praying to God to support me so that I become a successful man in this world. I want to be a man of real benefit among people in this world. Perhaps you are my gateway to this world. And I believe in that. My whole family is happy with you, and we are part of your family and you are part of mine. The reality, my friend, is worse than what the camera conveys to you. The reality is beyond comprehension. We are now living in complete catastrophe. Many civilians now own weapons, and if one of them encounters a problem, he shoots immediately without any hesitation. Therefore, my young family and I try to stay close to each other. We try to protect our children from this overwhelming catastrophe. The Israeli army is now mockingly blowing up residential homes. The goal is to annihilate the signs of life here.
February 28th, 2024. The conduct and ethics of some Israel Defense Force members have increasingly come under the microscope. Incidents ranging from pranks to politically potentially criminal acts are being exposed to the world, often by videos soldiers themselves have posted online. And in many pictures and videos that have circulated, IDF soldiers are seen blowing up buildings in Gaza, waving women's underwear like flags, and rifling through and often destroying the possessions of Gazans with gleeful expressions.
Yesterday, I met a friend who was just released from Israeli prisons after 61 days of detention. He told me many horrors that happened, including beating, hard beatings, and broken noses without treatment, walking barefoot on glass, and falling into cold water without clothes. His feet and hands were shackled for 61 days. They are not allowed to go to the bathroom, urinating and defecating in their clothes. They also bring police dogs in to bite them and urinate and defecate on them. They are accused of racist charges such as participating in October 7 or belonging to Hamas. They are brought before the court and the prison sentences are issued against them without the presence of any defense lawyer. They are not even allowed to speak or defend themselves. They are not even allowed to speak or defend themselves. They are not even allowed to speak or defend themselves. The scenes is very, 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 very terrible, my friend. I'm really afraid of that now, and all of this has brought fear into my heart.
Is anyone paying attention? This is actually happening. How is no one stopping it?
February 29th, 2024. The Flower Massacre occurred, and at least 118 Palestinians were killed and 760 injured after Israeli forces opened fire, while the Palestinians were seeking food from aid trucks.
What I can say to everyone now is that Gaza is no longer fit for a human, is no longer fit for life at all. If a ceasefire occurs here, the war of how we will live with everything around us destroyed will begin. We hope that efforts your country is seeking now will stop this genocide. We need great efforts for urgent relief during the war and also after the war. The only party capable of doing this is the United States. What is happening in American universities is a new phenomenon. And I believe it will succeed in increasing the pressure at the political level in the United States of America in order to reach a ceasefire soon.
We keep telling each other that we will all meet soon. Do we believe it? I think Yasser does. I think he has to, just to keep going.
The news again carried new proposals for a ceasefire and the release of the prisoners. We hope this will happen and that Rafah will not be invaded and everything destroyed in it. We are facing a bad life here, a disastrous life here. As temperatures rose, the ground began to release all lizards, ants, snakes, scorpions. It has now become a reality, has become multiple. At first we were afraid of bombs, then of poor health, and now we have become afraid of sleeping so that what comes out of the earth will not reach us.
March 22nd, 2024, Saha Akram Ray, a journalist with the Palestinian Authority news agency Wafa, was killed with his son, Anas, in an Israeli strike as they were assisting injured neighbors. More than 100 journalists have been targeted and killed.
My friend, the institution that they call themselves charitable in Gaza, here, are unfair institutions. Since the beginning of the war, many thousand have not received just one aid box.
I've been talking to embassies who might let the family in with humanitarian asylum designation, but they have to get there first, to Canada or Spain or Ireland, and to get there requires a visa. The cruel joke is that there is no way to get a Palestinian visa in Gaza.
Yesterday was really terrifying. A place in the middle of the tent was bombed. Also, Israeli planes were flying at a speed higher than the speed of sound, resulting in a very loud and frightening sounds. The children are afraid. I was visiting the head of our family, whom we call the Mukhtar of the family. He was released yesterday after 55 days in Israeli prisons. He's 62 years old now. They insulted him and did not respect his age. He was kept handcuffed, feet shackled, and blindfolded for 55 days, in addition to constant beating and malnutrition. He tells us to just intensify our dua, our prayers for the prisoners there. Israel treat us as if we are animals, unfit to live.
In April 2024, following the withdrawal of Israeli forces, over 300 bodies of young men, women and children were unearthed at Nasser Medical Complex in Han Yunis, Gaza. According to Colonel Yaman Abu Suleiman, the bodies exhibited signs of having been bound and executed in the field. Reports indicate that Fourth, 2024, former President Donald Trump says that Israel needs to finish what they started.
From my birth until now, Palestine has been going through the worst conditions I dreamed of traveling and moving easily, completing my university studies, obtaining advanced degrees, and learning about other cultures and languages. But unfortunately, I did not achieve any of these dreams. I am a negligible part of the youth whose dreams ended without realization. But when I look at your society, I feel hope again. You and your friends, despite your old age, have the spirit of youth and defend the truth. I love this positive energy from you, so if the war ends, I must travel and reach you in order to learn and get a part of what I dreamed of.
April 19th, 2024. Months ago, a State Department panel recommended that Secretary of State Blinken disqualify multiple Israeli military and police units from receiving US aid due to allegations of human rights violations. Blinken has not taken action and continues to justify Israel's actions.
What is happening now in this war is more difficult than what happened in 1948. In 1948, we had ethnic cleansing. We had 522 villages were completely annihilated. We had 15,000 people who were murdered. And we have the total of the obliteration of Pakistan and the start of our Nakba. With this genocide, we have collective punishment of the indigenous people in Gaza. We have ethnic cleansing and genocide according to the international law. Previously, no one knew what was happening, but now everything is documented. And the whole world knows our suffering. Why is no one coming to help us?
Why is no one going to help them? Why? What can I say to Yasser?
The bad news is that my cousin is still trapped under the rubble. He was martyred 2 days ago, and no one can reach the place where he was targeted in northern Hosea.
Very early on, Nada's sister and her infant daughter were killed. Yasser wrote that he was there when it happened. I mean, we all know that death is a part of life, but not like this. Orchestrated slaughter is not meant to be part of life.
May 7th, 2024. Hamas accepts an Egyptian-Qatari ceasefire proposal, but experts say Israel is unlikely to accept because it becomes increasingly clear that Israel does not want a ceasefire.
We are closer than ever to the end of this war. What the American CIA director did during the past 2 days is the reason for the success of what is happening now in Egypt. Despite the military invasion into eastern Rafah, we believe Israel will not cross Biden's red line. The next hours are crucial. I want to think positively.
May 9th, 2024. 2 days after Hamas accepted the ceasefire proposal, Israel invades Rafah. The Biden administration response is that Israel is conducting a limited operation, not an invasion. Biden has moved his red line.
My grandson was arrested in the student protests at his college last night. At the start, there were only about 30 students protesting, but when cops from 3 neighboring towns appeared and then helicopters overhead, more faculty and students joined them. On the news, they say the student protests are the only thing giving Gaza hope. Yasser agrees. I'm proud of my grandson.
It seems that I forgot to tell you, Nada's nephew was killed. He was targeted by a tank shell, and he's only 17 years old. He lost his life, and he did nothing wrong. We hope to implement the International Criminal Court ICE arrest warrant against Netanyahu and gallant for the crime of starvation. Because this might mean ending the war. We are looking forward to this announcement.
Seems hope really does spring eternal.
My mother has been in Cairo since before the war began for medical reasons. Now she cannot get back. Yesterday, we talked to her by internet. Recently, Yusuf no longer eats the food we make. I asked my mother to ask him why you are not eating, Yusuf. He looked at my mother and told her that his mother's food is not delicious. Grandma, I miss your food and also the milk you used to make for me. Yusuf looked at his grandmother and smiled. When will you come here to prepare milk for me? It brought tears to my eyes when I saw my children's love for my mother. It made me think if we were by some miracle able to go to another country, will the children adapt quickly to a new life in another culture? A lot of questions are running through my head now.
July 31st, 2024, Tehran, Iran. Hamas's chief negotiator for the Qatari brokered ceasefire talks with Israel, Ismail Haniyeh, was assassinated today. Iranian and US officials believe Israel assassinated him, but Israel has said nothing.
Every day I live here in Gaza, I am amazed at the way the Israeli army invades residential areas. Israel does not want Hamas members, but rather they want to destroy as much as Rafah as possible. The scenes was terrifying tonight. Was really agonizing. Many families are fleeing from the south of Khan Yunis, are fleeing from the south of Khan Yunis to an unknown location.
August 7th, 2024, pro-Palestinian protesters interrupted Vice President Kamala Harris during a campaign rally in Michigan, chanting, "We won't vote for genocide." The Vice President replied, "If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking."
The situation here is very dangerous. The artillery shelling Yusuf Deir al-Balah is violent and has not stopped since the sunrise today. Today will be hot at all levels. We hope that the forecast or the weather will be cooler.
August 13th, 2024, Netanyahu reportedly hardens his negotiating team's position, insisting that Israel keep control of Gaza's southern border, a new condition.
I was asked to speak at an event, so I asked Yasser to write something for me to read.
Every free person came here to participate against the greatest evil in this world. And the last, which is Israeli Zionism. In the last month of this war, we have been displaced more than 12 times, sometimes more. With each displacement trip, we lose a part of ourselves, a part of our souls, and are struck by a wave of anger, heartache, and hysteria. Despite all that, the children consider each displacement trip a new life and begin to adapt to this life again. Today, despite the state of hunger, fear, and anxiety that we are living in, as well as the exhaustion of the body and soul, we have a new hope for the beginning of a new life to end this war on the decisive day of this negotiation. Therefore, we demand that everyone increase the pressure in order to reach a real ceasefire. We do not want anything from this world except to stop this current slaughter, mayhem, carnage, genocide, homicide. Another aspect of this war is my desire to help needy families in Gaza, because the pictures and video coming out of Gaza do not describe the pain in the eyes of children and mothers, in the eyes of amputees, in the eyes of smashed faces, in the eyes of women cannot provide food for their own kids, in the eyes of fathers who cannot provide food, cannot secure or protect their own families. It does not describe the pain in the eyes of children, my friend, because not also because of the hunger and poverty and total obliteration of something dear to our hearts. We started creating a new donation page in order to try to help many families here as possible. We always look to find ways to bring joy to the hearts and eyes of children and mothers here. We are always confident what you give us, whether it is material or moral. Thanks to all of you in the midst of this suffering. Life does not end, and as long as it continues, there must be a hope.
August 15th, 2024. Over 100 Israeli settlers attacked the Palestinian village of Jit in the West Bank today, killing one Palestinian and burning cars. Israeli newspaper Haaretz reveals that an Israeli army unit was nearby during the 4-hour attack and did nothing to stop it or arrest the attackers. Since October 7th, Israeli forces and settlers have killed 632 Palestinians in the West Bank, including 147 children.
August 21st from Al-Mawasi. There's an advance of Israeli vehicles now in the north of Khan Yunis, and the situation is very dangerous here. Ambulances are transporting the injured as a result of the sudden invasion, and we are now displaced every few days. My family has spent many nights on the street now, because of the displacement, of course. There is nowhere in Gaza to go and they tell us to leave, but we don't know where to go.
August 21st, 2024. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken leaves Middle East saying ceasefire talks may be last chance to free captives from Gaza. He returns to the US with no agreement for a ceasefire.
My cousin was just martyred just a few minutes ago. The situation is extremely dangerous. I took a picture of my cousin on the ground. He's a child who's more than 12 years old. He never hurt anyone. Also, a short while ago, 2 tents near us burned down. It was burned down, and there were tents were burned down live stream. The distance between my tent and the fire is only 100 meters. The danger is extremely close. I hope I don't lose any more of my family members.
I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help.
August 22nd, 2024. Israeli attacks have killed at least 10,490 school and university students and injured another 16,700, while more than 500 school teachers and university educators have also been killed, according to the Al-Mazan Center. All educational facilities in Gaza have remained closed, and hundreds of school buildings have been damaged or destroyed. On Wednesday, an Israeli attack on a school for orphans in Gaza City killed several people, mostly children and women. Another Israeli attack on a school filled with thousands of displaced Palestinians in northern Gaza killed at least 15 people. The list goes on. Israeli forces allege that Hamas uses schools as command centers. Hamas denies the charges. Israel is committing scholasticide, the deliberate and systematic destruction of the Palestinian education system in Gaza, according to a recent report for Human Rights Watch. Gaza has become the most dangerous place in the world to be a child, according to UNICEF.
Your prayers for us in these times are needed more than ever. My aunt, they want everything they want without any consideration. without any accountability for the overcrowding here. Your efforts have saved us from starvation, humiliation, and oppression. Thanks to the faith you have in us, I know that nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible.
My family has a cold and also a sore throat. Also today we went to the doctor for Yusuf, who is suffering from ear pain. It turned out that he needs an operation. Unfortunately, we cannot do anything now because of the collapse of the health system inside the hospital, and almost all hospitals. We will wait until the end of the war. I hope that this pain does not worsen with Yusuf.
August 31st, 2024, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, has accused the Israeli government of buying ads on Google to block users from giving donations to the agency.
Hi, my friend. Yusuf Bain is better now. Unfortunately, mental illness has struck Nada again. She imagines that she misses us when she hears every sound of a missile. I think this is called hypervigilance, my friend. You know, I think the kids have a lot of ongoing trauma, flashbacks. This genocidal trauma, no one can understand what all of these. She loses control, and that frightens the children. She is tired of this ongoing suffering.
How will he walk the kilometers to get water if Nada can't take care of the kids? How will he go on his daily search for food? There are no answers, and yet, somehow, Yasser goes on.
It is September 8th, and I have very sad news today. The Israelis targeted a house in my village. The number of victims was 13. 7 of them from my own family. My father and my 2 brothers were there sleeping in our house. I did not go with them because of Nada's mental illness. But I am always worried about them. I am sending you pictures of my family members. They are all in bags and cannot be seen. The gist of Netanyahu's speech to the United Nations is the continuation of this genocidal war. I'm really not optimistic at all. The Blinken and the US Congress have gone mad.
October 21st, 2024. Horrifying scenes are unfolding in the northern Gaza Strip amidst relentless Israeli strikes and an ever-worsening humanitarian crisis. Tor Venezuela, the UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East peace process, said, "Nowhere is safe in Gaza. The war must stop now," he added.
The tent next to me was bombed a short while ago. One person was killed and several were injured. I was walking with Yusuf and Muhammad next to this tent before the targeting, and thank God we were not harmed.
October 22nd, 2024, near Be'eri, Israel, Jewish settlers, including ministers and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet, gathered on the border of Gaza on Monday, where they called for settlements Israel evacuated 2 decades ago to be re-established in the war-torn Palestinian enclave. "We can renew settlements in Gaza," National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir told the hundreds who gathered for a 2-day outdoor conference titled "Preparing to Resettle Gaza." Smoke could be seen rising in Gaza, and loud bangs of artillery sounded in the distance.
Indeed, the United States of America is the only one who can put an end to this. But there are joint plans with Israel that are being implemented, and they are the priority for the United States. Israel and the United States will not give up, and Hamas will not give up either, and we will die.
That was in October. I can't say nothing has changed in the months since the 1-year mark. I can say the impossible has happened. Things have gotten worse. Much, much worse. The genocide rages on. But I have to admit that by now, by December, like Yasser, I keep holding on to some hope that by now there would be an ending.
A few moments ago, this bombing that looked like a nuclear bomb happened next to us.
December 4th, 2024. US President-elect Donald Trump has issued an apparent warning to Hamas, threatening all hell to pay if hostages held in Gaza are not released by the time he returns to the White House on the 20th of January. Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, thanked Trump for his strong statement.
I have been very distracted the past 2 days, my friends. I have become like children. I browse pages and videos about food. The soul can no longer stand deprivation, dehumanization, and demonization, and delegitimization. But this will pass when the ceasefire comes into effect. I will make all kinds of food that my soul craves every 2 days without giving any importance to the high prices. We are no longer afraid of death, but we only think about food.
December 27th, 2024. Headlines from today. Babies in Gaza die of hypothermia as living conditions worsen. Israeli attack kills 5 journalists in vehicle clearly marked press. Israeli forces torch Kamal Adwan Hospital, the last medical facility in northern Gaza, forcing hundreds to flee. Gaza's Ministry of Health said on Friday that contact had been lost with staff inside the hospital. It had no information on the fate of patients or staff who were inside.
The past 2 days have been the coldest since the beginning of the winter. I do not think that there is an end to this war on sight. We will now expect the worst with the beginning of the Trump era. The wind is blowing.
Today is February 25th, 2025. The ceasefire in Gaza has been in effect for 35 days. The United States has changed presidents from one Zionist to the next. While speculation is that Trump succeeded in negotiating the ceasefire, Biden laid the groundwork for Trump's proposed Riviera in the Middle East. As the world at large continues to view Palestinians as dispensable, a lesser people to be herded like cattle, in Palestine, families struggle to raise children, to find clean water, to maintain a sense of dignity, culture, and pride in the midst of the rubble. Very soon after the ceasefire went into effect, the family moved back into their home. The windows and doors were all destroyed, and all the pipes and appliances had been destroyed by bullets. But there were still 4 walls and a roof.
The first days were difficult. The drones and planes were gone, but our ears kept ringing. My middle son, Muhammad, who's 4.5, has been the most harmed by this war. He urinates at night and is frightened by every sound. For the first week, Maria would fall down and get up and brush herself off. She had only lived in a tent with a floor made out of sand. She kept going around the room and touching the walls. Our house is close to the buffer zone on the border with Israel. On the day the ceasefire started, January 19, 15 martyrs were killed in my own village because they were close to this area. The danger is still ongoing, but we hope that this ceasefire is the beginning of the end of everything. On January 26, 2025, we recovered the body of my cousin Rahad Abu Reda. It was made up of small, tiny, teeny bones. We identified him by his phone that was next to him. February 1st, 2025, today we went to play football with my cousins in the old field where we used to play before the war started. Unfortunately, the entrance is close to the border and there is a military site that the army recently established. There were 10 minutes of machine gun fire and sound bombs near it. We all lay down on the ground during this period, and these bullets went above us. They move around a lot here without hesitation, despite the stray bullets, and there are daily injuries in the village. Meanwhile, the quadcopter drones were making provocative sounds and words. And you know, my friend, I'm quite sure that maybe in the US you don't know about the drones. Gaza is a military lab of the world. Like we have in Gaza, kids in Gaza, they knew, my friend, like F-51, F-15, F-20, B-51, B-53, F-16. Like you could imagine, they know the names of tanks. I mean, because Gaza has been a test for the military-industrial complex. You know, my friend, that's why quadcopter is a kind of a drone that can speak to someone, can mimic a voice of a dog to scare kids, to scare children. This is what a quadcopter is. Not something like, it's just a drone like humming or zzz all night. It has a specific target. And also hear the sounds of like planes. And planes, my friend, we have no planes. They have all of the kinds of planes, the most advanced, the most sophisticated planes in the world. And we don't have a plane, we don't have a tank, we don't have like, I mean, it is extremely, extremely unjust. We do not know the purpose of this flight, but we hope that it is for good without any plans to attack, because the first to be harmed would be those near the border, which is us.
February 23rd, 2025. Hamas has condemned Israel's decision to postpone the release of more than 600 Palestinian prisoners, saying its claims that the captives' handover ceremonies are humiliating was a pretext to evade Israel's obligations under the Gaza ceasefire agreement. February 24th, 2025, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns that Israel is ready to return at any moment to intensive combat. The operational plans are ready. February 25th, 2025, 6 children died from hypothermia as a result of the freezing cold, with no shelter, as Israel prevents entry of mobile homes.
2 days ago, I received a video call from Yasser. Youssef, who is now 7, grinned from ear to ear as he said in English, "Hello, my friend, I will go to school tomorrow." Yasser told me that Youssef asked to call so that I would know they were going to school. Then Youssef pointed to Muhammad and said, "Kinder." The call lasted for 13 minutes, and I got to talk to everyone in the family. Nada was beaming, Maria danced, and through it all, I wept. That 13 minutes, that joy and connection is what I will hold on to. May we all find some piece of joy to hang on to.
March 10th, 2025. Democratic Senator Peter Welch slams Israel for cutting off electricity and humanitarian aid to Gaza. First, Prime Minister Netanyahu blocked all humanitarian aid from reaching civilians in Gaza, Welch wrote in a social media post. Now his government is cutting off electricity to more than 2 million people there. These actions won't make Israel safer, he says. They will only result in more suffering and death.
Our lives are going on as usual. Food prices have risen, and we are always waiting for the crossing to open. Also, cooking gas has run out. The children, especially Muhammad, have adapted to school and seen that he is more accepting than Yusuf. Maria is growing excellently and her health is good. Some pimples have appeared on her face and we do not know the cause. And a few days ago, a fever also appeared on her tongue. Trump has backed down from the idea of displacing the residents of Gaza. It seems that there is a final agreement with Hamas. We are hopeful.
The eternal optimism from Yasser will never cease to amaze me. I'm learning that this is a Palestinian trait, to always believe something positive is coming, even though time after time after time they are met with utter disappointment. They always rise again.
There is an intense and frightening flight of planes and quadcopters in a frightening way around our homes and neighborhood. This made me think about the possibility of displacement. But today the news is positive regarding the American proposal to extend the truce for 50 days.
March 18th, 2025, the world awoke to the shocking news that Israel had resumed its genocidal war on Gaza. Israel killed more than 400 people in overnight attacks on Tuesday, launching air raids as people slept in the early hours of the morning.
Israel claims it is doing this to force Hamas to release the captives being held in Gaza, but how can anyone believe anything they say? This has less than nothing to do with Hamas or the hostages. I mean, really. Are people stupid, blind, or they really just don't give a shit? Meanwhile, Yasser and his family are back in a tent.
Our conditions are getting worse, whether in terms of food, because we have truly fallen into famine, a man-made famine by the most moral army in the world. We have truly fallen into famine or on the ground after the Israeli army announced the expansion of its operation in the Gaza Strip.
I told Yasser about how many times the play is being read. It seems to be the one positive thing in their lives.
May God bless you all. I am grateful to all of you because my family has become the voice of Palestine, the voice of the suffering of my oppressed people, slaughtered and aided and abetted by the United States of America. As for me, I am a person who has lost a lot of focus. I used to have the mind of an engineer, full of love for construction and reconstruction. But now I am only thinking about how I will get food for my own family. My children have become street children. We live in the street among strangers. We have nothing to cover us except a piece of cloth. I spent my entire day from the early morning hours until I go to sleep trying to secure water, which I carry from long distances so that my children can wash away the filth of this world. In which we live here in the middle of the yellow sands in the outskirts of Cannes. We are living in a real famine as my children, my wife, and I crave and dream of food. Could you imagine people who dream of food? Which is the simplest thing for a human being. We dream of chocolate, chicken, and even bread. Whoever look at us can see that we live a daily struggle, intense life, to the point that people neglect their personal hygiene from the amount of daily responsibilities. These children have no real sense in this life because they lost their right to education, their right to life, their right to feed, to eat, their right to drink, their right to have rights, their right to have a history of rights. They lost everything. The human mind can no longer bear anything, and between the endless demands of the children, following the situation on the ground and listening to the news to see what the Israeli army is destroying and who among our friends and neighbors has been murdered. My friends, the pain is great. When I buy food for my children, my nephews come and look at what I bought with shining eyes, filled with hunger and shyness to ask for food. When I buy food for my children, child and my nephew come and look at what I bought with shining eyes filled with anger and shyness to ask for food. I ask them to sit with me and ask to sit with me, and I feed them. But I cannot help everyone. And my heart cannot bear to see these children agonize, maltreated, whether they are related to me or not, go hungry for no reason. Yesterday I bought a bag of chips. I want to eat it for myself without the children seeing it. But I could not enjoy it without my children eating with me. One bag of chips used to cost less than $1, like 20 cents. Now it costs $4, a bag of chips. And sometimes it's not even existing. Like this is a dream to have chips for children. You cannot eat it alone, you have to feed everyone. We have lost a lot, and we no longer want anything but a little. Even the very least, which is to stop this genocide, to stop this ecocide, to stop this scholastic side, to stop this war and sleep in the rubble, even in the rubble of my house without thinking about anything else.
July 8th, 2025. Israel kills 95 Palestinians in Gaza as Trump and Netanyahu meet. The Israeli Prime Minister insisted that Gaza will no longer be a threat as Israel advances plans to concentrate Palestinians in a humanitarian city near Rafah.
The army is advancing faster than before in Eastern Khan Yunis. It seems something is simmering and upcoming. There's been a lot of shelling here, and the ambulances are at full capacity. Civilians transport the injured people through donkey carts. Because
some days I can't get out of bed. And then I ask myself, how dare you?
we have been consumed mercilessly, mentally and physically.
July 9th, 2025. According to the Colonization and Wall Resistance Commission, settlers carried out more than 2,153 attacks in the first half of 2025, resulting in the deaths of 4 citizens in the West Bank.
Maria and the attack are worse now, and Yusuf is showing signs of malnutrition.
Also on July 9, 2025, Israel kills more than 300 in Gaza in 48 hours, as focus intensifies on Gaza Humanitarian Foundation Aid Center.
I feel sad for myself. I stand in the middle of conversation between my neighbors and friends without understanding what they are saying or even communicating or even remembering anything of what was said. I can't focus or remember.
It is becoming clear that the devastating toll of this genocide is showing in Yasser's texts. I don't know how to respond. Words are empty. Sympathy is pathetic. And how can anyone say prayers that are nothing but useless?
July 16th, 2025. 10 children lose one or both limbs each day, and 15 children per day are left with potentially life-altering disabilities. 1 in 10 children are severely malnourished.
We have been living under terrible psychological pressure all day long for more than 600 days in a very confined space. It is something no human being has ever experienced before in the history of mankind. A huge missile just fell 500 meters away from us. My heart beat fast. Sometimes I go to ChatGPT to find an explanation for what I am going through. Unfortunately, I am tired of flowery words.
No words, flowery or otherwise.
My back started hurting again, and the pain started to reach my feet. There is a proof I have a cartilage problem now. Maria is always sick. I don't know what to think. Should I think about how to get food? Or think about the high prices? Or about my health? Or the health of my children?
July 20th, 2025. 18 in Gaza die from starvation in one day amid Israeli blockade.
My friend, we are fine, but the situation is extremely difficult. Today I found 2 small boxes of water for $15. Also, there is terrifying chaos of thieves, bandits, and thugs. They steal and kill without mercy or remorse. Whoever wants to get a flower has only 2 choices. Whoever who wants to have a bag of flour has 2 choices. To risk it or to starve. To risk it or to starve. That is easier. The Israeli army is enjoying this chaos. We are scared. We will wait and see what happens.
We will wait and wait and wait. For a world that doesn't care, we will wait.
Yesterday, I was with my brother in the field hospital after he was shot in the arm trying to get the flower for our family. Fortunately for him, he was transferred from Nasser Hospital, which was collapsing health-wise. He will have surgery tomorrow.
August 25th, 2025. In southern Gaza, an Israeli attack on Nasser Hospital killed at least 21 people, including 5 journalists, receiving widespread global condemnation.
My dear friend, please say thank you to everyone who is checking on us in the midst of this genocide and deadly starvation war. Unfortunately, the psychological changes in the children are beginning to appear significantly now. They are adopting inappropriate behavior, whether it is violence or not listening to the instruction we gave them. The children are growing up in the midst of this genocide. Yesterday, I was trying to buy a bag of flour, and a fight broke between 2 children who were no more than 7 years old. One of them said to his brother, "Bring me a knife, I want to kill him." This behavior tells us that we are in a great danger. And this pattern applies to all of those who we have in the neighborhood. And we are always trying to prevent the children from interacting with the street children here. Street children in Gaza has never been street children in Gaza. In Gaza have never been street children, but with this genocide, people get to know, to see, my friend, to see street children. Those children, my friend, in Gaza, 65,000 orphans right now in Gaza out of the genocide. That's why we have street children. We don't have before street children. I'm also becoming very, very nervous. The body is exhausted and the mind is distracted. And now my eldest son, Yusuf, is suffering from malnutrition.
On August 12th, 2025, a new poll finds that 79% of Israeli Jews do not feel personally troubled by reports of starvation in Gaza.
I hope a miracle will happen to stop this.
خلاص امشي الطريق يلا امشي.
Hello, my friend. Today is 9th of January 2023. Now I am in Rafah, new camp with my family. I built 5 tents for my family. Look.
Look, my friend, this is a strange smoke with bombing here. Now we hear the bombing here, and now release this smoke.
Here playing with sand in tent. You can see fire. Fire. Gunfire.
Hello.
Please
Hello.
I hope
I hope
you are
you are
okay.
okay.
Thank you
Thank you
for
for
what
what
you doing.
we are going.
You doing
We are going
for us.
for us.
Inshallah,
Inshallah,
you will see you.
we see you.
You will see you.
We see you.
This morning, all the night, noise voice from Daron's plane. We cannot get out from my tent. The children fear from to get out. This is all my daily life.
Interlink Publishing, Sunderland Human Rights Task Force, Peace and Justice Action Team, First Churches of Northampton, and the Sunderland Public Library and Ellsberg Initiative for Peace and Democracy. I also wish to thank Sunderland Library for welcoming us here, and all of these heartfelt co-sponsors are they're being our co-sponsor because it's all very heartfelt, and it brings out that we all need to find places that we can do work to help end this however we can. I do want to have, I also wanted to thank Crystal and Yasser for sharing their correspondence from the Times on October 7th. And today is Yasser's 35th birthday. We do have a cake over here that we sent to him. We hold the strength for Yasser and his wife and 3 children surviving through a genocide, struggling for basic needs. They and their children were forced to live through circumstances no one, and especially children, should ever endure. They are just one family, and there are many. Palestinian food is prepared by Ismail Assad with his truck, Mohawk Shawarma Grill in Greenfield. He's right here. Zevon can give an update.
I'd like the cast to come up too. Today is Yasser's 35th birthday. It's also day 777 this genocide. 777 days. Didn't expect it. Anyway, thank you all for coming. It's what matters. I mean, it's what's keeping them alive is us. This family in particular, you're going to hear another story in a minute, but this family, their village is on the other side of this yellow line. I'm going to assume everybody knows what the yellow line is. It is where they've created, so they can't go past it, which they have now moved the yellow line, right? And so people are being killed because they don't know. There's nothing marking it. Anyway, so their whole village has been destroyed now, and so they can't get to it. People are going back to their homes when they can, even if the homes aren't there. But they're still in the tank in Al-Mawasi. Their displacement in the end was 24 times. And we continue to text every day. So I would encourage everyone to go to the website, onefamilyingaza.com. And on that website, there are instructions of how to produce a play, if you want to have it in your living room or on a stage. And there are also updates from Gaza, which about once a week I try to update the texts between Yasser and myself. So thank you for coming, and thank you to this wonderful cast, and you can ask questions.